All right. Welcome on in to the Off Air Podcast. I am Chris Thomas, joined by the head hunter, Mike Conti. Mike, sometimes the off-air discussions may be more interesting than the off-air discussions, which may be more interesting than the on-air discussions.
There's really not a whole lot to discuss right now. There's really nothing going on at the radio station. So we'll see you on Thursday. And
or how about Atlanta United? We'll get to them in a little bit. That was
we'll
fun.
Get to that.
That was fun for you. All right. Obviously, the place to begin and the only place to begin is with the Atlanta Hawks. Not only do they make news off the court, Quinn Snyder is officially the new head coach of the team. He will be introduced this afternoon, being Monday. Episode will drop on Tuesday, meaning you will have already heard both his press conference and potentially an interview on this very radio station. We are hopeful to
Not
get the coach on.
Confirmed.
Definitely getting the coach on then this afternoon with our guys on Dukes and Bell. But Mike, that's not even where we start. Also, where we don't even start is the fact that they won 2 games in a row and Trae had a buzzer beater during one of those games against the Nets on Sunday. Where we need to begin is our guy, Mike freaking Bell, man. A fountain of content. That's why we love him. That's why he's an afternoon drive host on one of the biggest radio stations in the country. But Mike, he and Trae Young got into a little Twitter spat, if you want to call it that. Why don't you fill the audience in on what went?
What do I have to actually read the tweets?
No.
Do that.
No.
Here's the thing. I mean, I think most people who are watching or listening to us, they know what the story is. Here's the thing. Mike and Carl and all of our hosts from 5A to 11P on this radio station have been very passionate and expressing a lot of opinions lately about what's going on with the Hawks. Trae Young is the face of the franchise. There's going to be a lot of discussion about how we feel about Trae Young. Our hosts are paid to give opinions.
Mm-hmm.
The stronger, the better. What do I say all the time on this podcast? We're here to inform, entertain, and be funny. Part of that is having strong opinions. Mike has had strong opinions about Trae Young. He's expressed them over the last couple weeks. From what I have been able to gather, I am not sure that Trae or his associates are listeners to Dukes and Bell, but it does seem, based on what I'm hearing and reading on Twitter, that maybe some of our content has been relayed to Trae and his associates on a secondhand basis.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think the background of what happened Sunday night is Mike's been talking a lot about Trae and Carl. They've been talking a lot about Trae. Trae has heard about it. Maybe doesn't know exactly what's been said, but has heard about it. So Trae tweeted on Sunday night about it, just in general, about the win that the Hawks had Sunday evening against the Nets, in which Trae hit a buzzer beater. Mike Bell quote tweeted that and basically made a comment like, "That's great. Need more games like the last 2. Trae has averaged 34 points per game over the last 2. To me, I don't think that's inflammatory. I don't think that's
innocuous. Nope, it was
innocuous.
Yep.
But Trae saw it and clapped back in a way that surprised me, calling Mike a name.
A gardening tool. One might say a gardening tool.
Yes. Yes, that is the literal definition. Mike responded. I don't think he really needed to do that. Trae responded back. I certainly don't think he needed to do that. But here's the thing, guys. From my seat as brand manager, I want our people to feel like they are able to express strong opinions as long as they are accurate and they are not personal attacks. I have not heard anything on our radio station. Again, it's impossible for me to listen 24/7, but I don't think I have heard anything on our station to date that has in any way, shape, or form been a personal attack on Trae Young. And I think for the most part, the opinions expressed are based in some form of accuracy. I mean, we can nitpick on little things, but I don't think Chris, I don't think any of our hosts are going on the air telling lies about Trae Young. Now, we can disagree about opinion. Like, I got a kick out of this with Atlanta United sometimes. I'll give an opinion. Someone will disagree with me on Twitter and say, because they disagree, I am lying. No, no, I'm not lying. I'm stating an opinion that might be different than yours. Okay. And look, Carl and Mike are expressing opinions that clearly are not shared by everyone, but that's okay. That's part of their job. So I want our hosts, and I expressed this to Mike, and I expressed it to the Atlanta Hawks. I want our hosts to feel like they have the freedom to express their opinions, whether they're popular or not. I don't want our hosts telling listeners what they want to hear. I want them telling them what they need to hear.
Mm-hmm.
Mike expressed an opinion. Mike tweeted something last night, as he's allowed to do. And quite frankly, Trae Young responded, and Trae's allowed to do that. I have no problem with Trae Young tweeting at our host. He's allowed to do that. I wish he'd come on our station.
That's what I was just about to ask.
That's up to him.
Yep.
The door is always open. The door is always open for Trae or anyone else associated with the Hawks to give their side of whatever they want to debate. Always welcome to do that. So that's out there. But again, we're having a sports debate. This is a sports debate, okay? We're not dealing with like international issues here. We're not dealing with solving world hunger or a financial crisis or ending a war or anything like that. We're having a sports debate. I think it's gotten a little silly. I think, there was a suggestion made on Twitter over the weekend that Carl and Mike are somehow provoking threats of bodily harm against Trae. I think that is
come on,
completely ridiculous. I've never heard anything even remotely close to that. And that's the thing. Like, I think it's getting silly. I think the rhetoric is getting a little bit silly now. And that's on both sides. And we need to be better as a radio station, I guess. But again, Mike said something, Trae responded. Cool. We move on.
Yeah.
It's I don't think it's this huge controversy or issue or anything that needs to be dealt with or anything like that. It's what we do. We give opinions. We give our listeners a forum to express their opinions. I think we have given our listeners more than ample opportunity to agree or disagree with what Carl and Mike are saying. That's what we're here for. It's all part of the debate, the discussion. That's what's fun about sports radio. That's what's fun about this format. And, I like the fact, I'm sorry Trae feels the way that he does about us right now, but I at least appreciate the fact that he was willing to engage. I wish he would come in and maybe visit with us a little bit longer and we could chat this all out, but I certainly understand why he wouldn't want to, and that's okay. It's his choice too. But I'm not angry at Trae Young. I'm not angry at Mike Bell. It's a Twitter beef. Let's move on.
It is a sports talk radio, not Sports Center. And I think that's what some people get lost sometimes. It's not – if we came on here and just read down the headlines of the day, you guys wouldn't want to listen. Even though you think you think you may want a more antiseptic product, that's not what you want.
And here's the other thing too. Like, again, we have to call things like we see them. All right. I think there's this subset of people who were jumping into this fray last night. There's a subset, and maybe it's a subset of our audience who believes that all we should be doing here as a radio station is just be completely supportive of our hometown team. I want to get something very, very clear. All of us here at 92.9 The Game are huge Hawks fans, Falcons fans, Braves fans. Atlanta United fans. We love our local teams. Love them. There is no one on this radio station who actively roots against our local teams. We are all supportive of our local teams. We are all supportive of the athletes who play on those teams. But if all we're going to do for 5 hours a day on Dukes and Bell is talk about how great everyone is and how much we love everything, it's going to be boring radio. Now, we're not going to make things up just for the sake of having debate. There are shows on ESPN, quite frankly, that do that. They manufacture debate. I think if you listen to our radio station long enough, we don't manufacture debate. In fact, I think we agree way too much on way too many things.
Mm-hmm.
But that said, we can't come on the radio for 24 hours a day and just cheerlead and talk about how everything's great. We just can't. You're not going to learn anything. We're not going to have any kind of discussion. And by the way, there's going to be a subset of our audience who's going to condemn us for being too soft, not being critical enough, not holding our teams accountable. So this is a two-way argument. But I think we need to all agree that everyone here at this radio station wants nothing but the best for the Hawks and nothing but the best for Trae Young.
Yeah, and if you guys really want the bottom line, here it is. It's also good for business. All right.
Let me interject one thing.
Yeah.
Not good for business when we're part of the story. We never want to be part of the story.
True.
Okay? Never want that. And, that's one thing that, I wish would not have happened on Sunday night. But again, we move on. Well, who's that puppo, by the way?
Yeah, we got Layla in the background here. She's a good girl. She just, whenever I do something that's not giving her 100% of my attention, she reminds me that she's still here, but she's a good girl.
So is Layla yours, or are you dog sitting?
No, this is one for those who don't know. I am also, along with producer, weekend host, I am a dog sitter through the Rover app, which I love, and I get a bunch of pups that come stay with me at my place, and Layla was with me this weekend. She's getting picked up tomorrow.
Let me tell you, I fully endorse Chris as a dog sitter. He did a good job with Clark and Cleo, our dogs, a couple weeks ago. So he gets my 5-star rating.
That's right. Another 5. How about something else that was 5 stars this weekend, Mike? That was the way the Atlanta United game finished, and you got to be on the call of the not one but 2 golazos by our very own Thiago Almada. So what was that experience like, the way that United kicked off the season?
So, what's funny, when we did the show on Wednesday, you said, we got to do a short show because my voice is not doing so hot. And I've been having problems all week with pollen and allergies and everything. And Wednesday, Thursday-ish, I was a little bit worried, like, okay, am I going to have enough of a voice to get through Saturday's match? Because you have to use a lot of it in describing a 90-minute nonstop sporting event. And it's funny, Chris, about 5 minutes into the match on Saturday, I started to feel my voice getting scratchy.
Oh, no.
And I thought, oh, boy, we got 85 more minutes of this. Can I get through it? And fortunately, at halftime, I was able to do the lozenge and hot tea thing and everything like that. And that got me back kind of in the game. But I think if you listen to the final 10 or 15 minutes, you can tell my voice was not 100%. So I just thank God that I had enough left where I was able to give a description of those 2 goals. Look, it's like I tell everyone. I told Steak and Sandra this morning when I was on with them. I didn't do anything. Thiago Almada did the work. I just told everyone what happened. That's really how I feel about doing my job with Atlanta United. I love it. I have a ball describing the action. I have more fun doing that than anything else in this business. But again, the players are doing the work. All Jason and I are doing is explaining what's happening and putting it into context. So, it was a fun ending. It has absolutely nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with Thiago Almada. We are so blessed right now. We have Mahomes playing for Atlanta. We have Giannis right now playing for Atlanta. He's the best player in this league. And right now, I don't think there's a close second. He's playing for us. And we needed him because, quite frankly, the rest of the team is not a finished product right now. You don't yet have Yorgos Giacomakis in the team because he doesn't have his visa. You don't have Santiago Sosa in the team yet. Derek Etienne's not fully 90 minutes fit yet. So, you were without 3 really, really important starters on Saturday. And you got down early, and you're chasing it and chasing it and chasing it. and you keep hitting your head against that ceiling. And it really took 2 moments of individual brilliance by Thiago Almada to basically, hey, I got this. I'm going to take the match over. And that's what he did. But it's special to see. We are lucky right now in Atlanta to have someone of that caliber playing for us.
What was it like? I didn't get to go to this game. I'm sure I'll get to go to a bunch of matches this season. The first match of the season, always an interesting vibe at the Benz. How would you describe the fans and the crowd and the atmosphere?
Loud. I think they announced the attendance at 67,000. Look, I mean, let's be clear. I mean, I think there have been instances where announced attendance and actual attendance doesn't quite match. But I do think there were a legitimate 60,000 people in the building, which, again, on a Saturday night for a soccer match in Atlanta, pretty awesome. Charlotte up the road had 69,000. Nashville sold their stadium out. They had 29,000. You had 165,000 people attending soccer matches in February in Atlanta, Charlotte, and Nashville. I thought that was really, really cool. Vibe was great. Crowd was invested even when they were down. I don't think a whole lot of people left. I don't think the crowd became disengaged at any point. The funny thing is, Chris, like it's almost like the first day of school. That season opener, you get back into the stadium and everyone wants to say hi and talk to you and catch up. And remember, again, my voice, it's like at 80%. I'm trying to save it and do what I can. So, I want to visit with everyone. I want to have these fun discussions. And in the back of my head, I'm like, I really, really, really don't want to kill my voice having a discussion right now about something that, isn't germane to the game. So it worked out. Everyone was in a really good mood. It definitely sets a positive tone to start the season with a win. What's funny is Atlanta United's best seasons of all time have all started with losses. And in some cases, well, really in 2 cases, their 2 best seasons of all time, 2018 and 19, started with blowout losses. Their 2 worst seasons of all time, 2020 and 2022, started with narrow wins.
Well,
but
let's
just be a coincidence. Let's be a coincidence.
Hopefully that's just a fortune cookie type of thing and not something that actually carries over to the season, because it seems like it should be a fun squad. And with Gonzalo getting his real fingers on the pulse of the team and the franchise, I think we can expect good things.
I agree.
All right, Mike, let's finish where we started, because I thought CEO of the Atlanta Hawks, Steve Koonin, had a very honest, engaging, challenging spot with Dukes and Bell on Friday. I thought both parties played their parts significantly well in terms of the guys asking the right questions and Steve doing his best. Obviously being affiliated with the team, there's only so much you can say, but I thought he did about as good of a job saying what he could say in a stern tone, in a way that wasn't just brushing off the guys, actually engaging them in answers. So I thought it was a really good interview. And the thing that I thought that stuck out the most was the criticism that Trae Young received for not being available to the media in the immediacy following Nate McMillan's firing, because he had an excused absence for a family issue. And the guys asked Steve Koonin about that, and this was his response.
He couldn't have been there Wednesday, Mike. I mean, look, you and I go way back, and I give you my word, there was a family medical emergency. He deserves the privacy around that, as does his family. And candidly, he made sure that he put something out on social media last night. He is a caring, he is a terrific young guy. And this time, y'all are wrong.
So a really strong response there, ending it by saying this time y'all are wrong, about saying that Trae should have been a more front-facing figure.
Okay. I mean, that's absolutely, it's like we talked about at the beginning. Our guys have a right to give an opinion. Steve absolutely has a right to respond. That's cool. I love that. I listened to the interview a couple times. Did Steve address why Trae left practice before speaking to the media on Tuesday?
Did not. He did not have a specific reason for that. But Mike, this is part of the issue, and we talked about in the first segment sometimes the disconnect on Twitter between the fan base and our guys in the media, and then the players. It's, for me at least, participating in Dukes and Bell for 5 hours a day, every day. We've been opening up the phone lines a lot more lately, letting listeners chime in, which I think has been great. A lot of good points made by our listeners. I think sometimes, some stars get a pass for the sake of being stars and for the sake of a lot of people having their jerseys and a lot of people loving the way that they play. But when you really knuckle down on it and look at the way that the season has gone and look at how everything's transpired both in front of and behind the scenes, if the stars aren't held accountable, then who is? And I think that's been a part of the issue.
Yeah. I mean, again, look, I want to just reiterate, we all love the Hawks and we all love Trae Young. Okay.
Right.
We do not, like, his dad tweeted on Saturday that Carl and Mike hate Trae. I really cringed when I saw that. And look, Ray Young and I tweet at each other a lot, and it's all love. It's all positive. Okay. I tweet a lot of very positive things about Trae. Ray retweets it sometimes. He comments on it. Like Ray and I are good. Okay. Ray made a comment on Twitter about how Carl and Mike hate Trae. First of all, that's an incredibly strong word. B, it's false. They don't hate Trae. We don't hate Trae. But Trae is also the superstar face of the franchise. And look,
you could argue the city, not just the franchise right now, the city. Sure.
And guess what? This comes with the territory.
Mm-hmm.
I think, I might be wrong, but I think Trae wants to have that honor of being the face of the franchise, face of the city, kind of spiritual, emotional leader of the franchise and city. I think he wants that. I hope I'm not wrong. I am going to assume that he was not forced to sign his max deal at gunpoint or anything like that.
I would think not.
This kind of stuff just goes with the territory. And maybe some of that is unfair, quite frankly. I mean, maybe it is a little bit unfair that because he's the highest paid player, superstar, face of the team, maybe it is a tiny bit unfair that there are some non-basketball things that he's expected to conform to. That could be unfair, but it's the reality. So, look, again, I just want to be really, really clear. Like, we are very pro Hawks and pro Trae Young on this radio station. I think the rhetoric, especially over the last 48 hours, and maybe it's my fault because I'm a manager, I don't know. But I just think the rhetoric has gotten silly. No one hates Trae Young at this radio station. No one would encourage anyone to harm Trae Young in any way. Like, kind of reading between the lines of a tweet I saw Saturday, I didn't really understand that insinuation. And as far as what happened on Sunday with Mike and Trae, again, we support Trae. Trae is absolutely allowed to respond. Cool. It's done. Let's move forward. We're not going to be a Trae bashing radio station. We're not going to be a Trae cheerleading radio station. We're going to call it like we see it every day. And here's the good news. Been in this market 15 years, Chris. The level of attention, the level of buzz surrounding the Atlanta Hawks right now is higher than I've ever seen it. And that includes the year they won 60 games. And you know why the buzz is where it is, especially in relation to that 60-win season?
They have a superstar.
They have a superstar, and he's Trae Young. So we're going to keep doing what we're doing. We're going to keep calling it like we see it. Phone lines are open. Door is always open if Trae wants to come in and give his side of things. We allowed Steve to give his side of things on Friday. We appreciated his candor. We're going to keep doing that. And by the way, we're still the flagship radio station of the Atlanta Hawks. Quinn Snyder's going to be on with us this afternoon at 4, running the press conference at 2. So if you feel strongly about the Hawks right now, we're the place to be to learn about it and express your opinions about it.
Absolutely. I just think that the disconnect needs to be, the fences need to be mended in terms of this standpoint. Everyone knows what Trae and the Hawks could be because of the talent on the team, because of 1 through 5 in their starting lineup. If everyone, this is a phrase I've been saying on my weekend show constantly, if the guys in the lineup just played to the quote back of their baseball cards, this team could be great, not just good, great. But it all starts at the top. If the guy leading the way isn't fully committed to the coach's message, isn't fully committed to a team concept, isn't fully committed to building relationships with his teammates and the players and the front office, then you're never going to go anywhere. So we all know that Trae could reach an even higher level than he is right now. He could take his game to the next level. And all we're expressing is our frustration that that's not happening, and that we want that to happen for Trae and for the team. And people just get lost in the sauce about nitpicking on his game or his character or his, representation of leadership for the team. And that's not what we're going for.
Yeah, well said. And I also think too, there are a couple figures on social media who are not acting in good faith, who are trying to fan the flames of this. And some of them have check marks.
Some of them might even cover the team.
I don't know about that. I do. No. I think we could have a debate on what we're talking. We'll talk about that off here. But I'm just saying, there are some people on Twitter right now who I don't think are acting in good faith, who are trying to fan the flames of this.
Fair enough. We will discuss. That's what I said at the beginning of the episode. Rings true at the end of the episode. Sometimes the off-air discussions are more interesting than the off-air, which is more interesting than the on-air. All right, that'll do it for this edition of the Off-Air Podcast. Follow Mike Conti, head honcho at Mike Conti 929. I am at C Thomas Radio. We'll talk to you guys in a couple of days.